With the combination of bear-like tankiness, unrelenting AoE, and the unstoppable onslaught of a raging beast, the Pulverize Druid offers a simple and satisfying leveling playstyle. The core of the build relies on Pulverize, a concentrated AoE effect that inflicts damage in a small circular area in the Druid's melee range. Though if RNGesus is on your side, however, you will stumble upon the Shockwave aspect before long, which allows you to turn your humble core skill into a screen-wide devastator. If you couple this with the solid spirit generation of Maul and your various sources of self-healing and also damage reduction, the Pulverized Druid is a simple and solid way to get yourself to the endgame on either world tier difficulty. So to get things started, let's talk about the general skills that you are going to be kind of using. With a build named like this, it should be no surprise that Pulverize is your main damage dealer and centerpiece of the playstyle. This hard-hitting spirit spender turns you into a werebear and deals damage in a circular area in melee proximity of the druid. And like mentioned before, you just need a little bit of luck during leveling and you will come across the shockwave aspect, which then it just greatly extends the affected area of the skill. Now, spirit management is quite intensive in this build, so in order to recoup the losses from spamming Pulverize, you should incorporate Maul as a resource generation tool. Keeping up the werebear form even as you generate spirit is important for this build, as this is how you take advantage of the guaranteed overpower procs. But to get a little bit more tanky, Earthen Bulwark is a staple protective tool of the Druid class, which finds its place in many builds for its sizable absorption of damage. This protective effect is also further enhanced by taking, you guessed it, Enhanced Earthen Bulwark, which renders you unstoppable throughout its duration. The unstoppable effect simply means that you cannot be affected by crowd control, and that's quite powerful in the thick of battle. Also, you will find an unlikely but invaluable companion in the Poison Creeper, which periodically inflicts poison damage to its enemies in a circular area around your druid. Do not underestimate its damage over time effect, as well as its helpful crowd control and also reapplying it regularly. Though sometimes you know what's going to hit the fan, and when the going gets tough, popping the Grizzly Rage ultimate is the ace up your claw, strengthening you with additional DPS and damage reduction, though use this wisely since it sits on a large cooldown. Though last but not least, druids are quite starved for mobility, so Trample, the solitary movement skill of this class, is quite welcome, especially in an up close and personal build like this one. To counter its hefty cooldown, this skill adds on some extra utility in the form of unstoppable status, as well as knocking back enemies and inflicting sizable damage once you add the enhanced trample node. But now that you know kind of what you want to do, let's walk you through the process of actually getting there, so follow along and level up your character with us. Starting off, we have the early steps. This is levels 2 to 3. Your first 2 skill points will be spent in the basic skills section. In order to even reach core skills and then get the meat of the build, we will need to make some temporary choices here, which we reserve later on when the build is kickstarted into its final form. But start out by leveling up Storm Strike, which combines damage reduction and spirit generation in one reliable melee package. So level 2 take Storm Strike and level 3 take Enhanced Storm Strike. Moving forward though, we can start to smash with Pulverize. This is levels 4 through 7. Around this time, you unlock the main damage dealer of the build, Pulverize. This early on, your primary goal is to get the most of its damage per spirit spent. With its hefty resource cost, every enemy hit counts. Try to draw as many enemies as you can handle getting hit by, and then try to demolish them with a handful of calculated pulverizes. Taking the node Fierce Storm Strike will help since it inflicts vulnerable state on enemies as well. So level 4, take Pulverize, level 5, take Enhanced Pulverize, level 6, take Fierce Storm Strike, and level 7, take Primal Pulverize. Moving forward though, let's give you some protection and utility. This is going to be levels 8 through 17. Druid boons become available at this stage, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. But meanwhile, another druid staple is also being added around this time, that is Earthen Bulwark. This is a protective mainstay of the class, which grants hefty amount of health-based damage absorption for 3 seconds after its cast. You will further strengthen its defensive capabilities by picking up Enhanced Earthen Bulwark, which adds the unstoppable property, and preserving Earthen Bulwark, which nets you additional damage reduction throughout the fortified state. Of course, you will also max out Pulverize around these levels, since this is where the bulk of your damage will come from. So for levels 8, 9, 10, and 11, take Pulverize. Level 12, take Earthen Bulwark. Level 13, Enhanced Earthen Bulwark. Level 14, Preserving Earthen Bulwark. Level 15, Heart of the Wild. Level 16 and 17, Abundance. But after that, you can start to refine the bear form. This is going to be levels 18 through 27. Right at this point, you should refund your points from Storm Strike and spend them into Maul, Enhanced Maul, and Fierce Maul. You start getting a lot more from staying in bear form, so this change is necessary. You also get Trample, your solitary mobility skill, Grizzly Bear, your heavy hitting ultimate, and Provocation, which grants overpower on the next strike after spending 30 seconds in werebear form. Do your best to time Pulverize with Provocation's bonus for maximum carnage. So for level 18, take Trample, level 19, Mending, level 20, 21, and 22, Provocation, level 23, Abundance, level 24, Poison Creeper, level 25, Grizzly Rage, level 26, Prime Grizzly Rage, and level 27, Supreme Grizzly Rage. But now we can talk about your capstone passive and ramping up. The first half of this leveling bracket will be spent in the build up towards Ursine Strength, the capstone passive of choice for this build. Its multiplicative damage bonus is well near permanent considering the ample ways this build has to stay healthy. The second half of this leveling journey milestone will be spent on ramping up pulverized damage by turning it into an earth skill, courtesy of Aspect of the Ursine Horror and Aspect of Quicksand. Lastly, any remaining points will be spent on defense. So levels 28, 29, and 30, you take Wild Impulse. Level 31, 32, and 33, Predatory Instinct. Level 34, Iron Fur. Level 35, Ursine Strength. Level 36, 37, and 38, Crushing Earth. Level 39, 40, and 41, Defiance. Level 42, 43, and 44, you take Stone Guard. Level 45 and 46, you take Iron Fur again. Level 47, 48, and 49, Defensive Posture. Moving on though, we can talk about your Renown, and you have 10 extra skill points that you will gradually attain from gathering Renown. Spend them according to the priority outlined so far, but once you've finished that, allocate the remaining points using the following list. Renown 1, 2, and 3 should go into Safeguard, Renown 4, Enhanced Trample, Renown 5, Natural Trample, Renown 6, 7, 8, and 9 should go to Earthen Bulwark, Renown 10, Circle of Life. And now we can actually talk about the Druid Spirit Boon system. And Druids use their unique class mechanic, the Spirit Boons, as passive buffs that enhance their chosen build. You are allowed to use up to 5 boons from 4 spirits. The 5th boon becomes available once all 4 Spirit Boons have been unlocked. Otherwise, only 1 boon can be selected per spirit by default. Now, unlocking the Spirit Boons happens at level 15, and you need to complete the priority questline that becomes available once you free the stronghold Turdolra in Skosklen. While you can unlock your first boon with the 25 Druidic Spirits granted to you right away, we recommend saving them up for the most expensive of the bunch. And the recommended order of Spirit Boon unlocks is as follows. Save 100 Druidic Spirit offerings to unlock the Snake Spirit, and then you take the Masochistic Boon. Save 25 Druidic Spirit offerings for the Eagle Spirit and then take the Scythe Talons boon. Save 75 Druidic Spirit offerings for the Deer Spirit and unlock the Weariness boon. And then save 150 Druidic Spirit offerings for the remaining Spirit boons, get swooping attacks from the Eagle Spirit. But now that we have all of that covered, let's talk about gear and stat priorities. And coming up with particular gearing goals and strategies while leveling is near impossible, since the regular increase of levels makes previously dropped gear irrelevant at a pretty steady pace. In practice, you will be power spiking your performance anytime you come across a legendary, those are the orange colored ones, or a unique, the golden colored gear. And you should also be swapping in rare, the yellow colored gear in and out constantly all the way to level 50. Though for your weapon, you should be prioritizing obtaining the highest damage two-handed weapon you can find. Look for high DPS on your two-handed weapon, preferably a mace, as well as core skill damage, overpower damage, and open sockets. For your equipment, you will largely be looking for defense. The helm will ideally have cooldown reduction, willpower, and will add ranks to your skills. The armor and pants should add to your willpower, life, and armor, and the same does apply for your boots, but they will ideally have some movement speed and cost reduction sprinkled in. The gloves are the only offense-oriented slot in your equipment and should add to your core skill damage, overpower damage, critical strike chance, and attack speed. And for your jewelry, you should look into offense-oriented stats that are more closely tailored to your build. Since these slots get swapped relatively less frequently, rolls are much more important than item level for these slots. Your amulet will ideally provide a flat increase to your damage, add to your werebear skill damage, and provide utilities such as movement speed and spirit reduction. Your rings should bump up your critical strike chance and critical strike damage stats, as well as add to your physical damage and damage against slowed enemies. But now that we have your gear covered, let's move into your Codex of Power. And the occultist vendor in town can imprint rare or legendary tier items with legendary aspects you have collected in your Codex of Power. These aspects are collected through the completion of specific dungeons across Sanctuary's overworld. During leveling, it is highly advisable to imprint offensive aspects on your amulet rather than your weapon, since the former gets replaced less frequently. This build will benefit the most from the following powers in order of importance. To start off with, we have the high importance. This is the aspect of retaliation found in the Sunken Ruins dungeon in Skosglen, and the next two are a special case because they're only high importance if they are taken together. This is the aspect of quicksand and the aspect of Ursine Horror. The quicksand can be found in the Pharaoh's Den in Skosglen, and the Ursine Horror can be found in the Belfry Zakara in Hoazar. But now let's move into the medium priority, and starting off we have the aspect of Mending Stone. This is found in the Sealed Archives in the Dry Steppes. The next one is the Rapid aspect, and this is found in the Buried Halls, also in Dry Steppes. And the last one is Aspect of Might, found in the Dark Ravine, also in the Dry Steppes. But now that we have that covered, let's move into the legendary powers. And while just about any legendary item you will find while leveling will be a sizable upgrade immediately upon equipping it, some legendary items will complement your build far better than others. For the Pulverized Druid, the best leveling legendary aspects to find are the Shockwave aspect, by far the best legendary power for this build. It turns the relatively small AoE of Pulverize into a massive AoE Shockwave. Next up, we have the aspect of Rampaging Werebeast. This greatly extends the duration of your Grizzly Rage ultimate. And lastly, we have the Conceited aspect. This increases damage while a barrier is active, forming a nice interplay with Earthen Bulwark and aspect of Mending Stone. But let me know if you guys have any questions about leveling a druid in the comments down below, and if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Diablo 4 tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.